as the late industrialist Sunjay Kapur's body was en route to India for cremation. An intense power shift was already unfolding behind the scenes, is what we are learning. Sources close to the family have revealed that Priyakapoor Kapur, Sanjay's second wife, was allegedly attempting to insert herself onto the board of directors of Aureus Investments, a company co-run by Sanjay and long-time associate Dinesh Agarwal. Remember, Dinesh Agarwal is also the person that the other side of the family, including Karishma Kapoor, are in fact accusing of colluding along with Priya Sachdev. Let's quickly go back to Ananya, who continues to stay with us. So Ananya, shed more light on the role that allegedly Dinesh Agarwal has played.
Arguments before the court were concerned, and as few as we know about Dinesh Agarwal, he was in fact a director along with Sunjay Kapur on the Aureus Investments company, another company that was owned by Mr. Sunjay Kapur, and it is the same company that I was talking to you about, whose board of directors meeting was called when Sanjay had actually died and his body was being brought back to India. And even before his cremation, Priya Sachdev Kapur was to be inducted on the board for board of directors of this particular company. Not only that, Dinesh Agarwal, as I could understand from the arguments that were addressed before the court, was the first person to bring about this will before the executor of this will, and also in fact somebody who is very, very instrumental, since he is the witness to that particular will, is what has been stated before the court today by the lawyers appearing from various sides. So how much of it is true, how much of it would it play up before the court of law, is something that we'll get to know on the October 9th when the matter is heard next, and we'll also get to know the kind of statements and submissions that would come in from the different parties to this particular family feud itself.
Absolutely. And when you look at the assets that the Delhi High Court has in fact demanded be presented in the October hearing, can you give us a sense of what are these assets that the children are discussing or rather talking about that their father had mentioned to them, and which is why that based on that premise they are demanding 1/5 of the property share?
Well, you know, it is a whole empire worth of 30,000 crores as far as Sunjay Kapur is concerned, which includes Sona Comstar, one of the biggest companies, which was founded by his father Virendra Kapur, and then the legacy was taken forward by Mr. Sunjay Kapur. Various other companies like Aureus Investments, or you know, it would also include immovable and movable assets as far as Sunjay Kapur is concerned. So we'll get to know on the next date of hearing as to what these assets are, what is the actual value of these assets, and what would happen as far as this family feud is concerned, is something that we'll get to know on the 9th of October when the next hearing in this matter actually takes place.
So what were the observations shared by the Delhi High Court today itself, Ananya, if you could give us a quick recap?
You know, it's the first hearing that took place before the Delhi High Court. The High Court issued summons because it's a civil suit. Here notice is called a summon. Summons have been issued to all the defendants in this particular case, and in fact all of them have been asked to file their written submissions or statements before the court of law in 2 weeks, while you know, 1 week has been given thereafter for a rejoinder if at all any party wants to file. If these plaintiffs want to file any rejoinder to the response that is filed by the defendants, and then the court would hear the matter on the 9th of October. As far as the interim relief under order to Rule 2 is concerned, that too, you know, the court has issued notice on that particular application as well, and we'll get to know as to whether some kind of interim protection or interim relief is given out to, in fact, the children of Karishma Kapoor, and what would happen to this whole family feud extending to over 30,000 crore worth of rupees.
Stay with me, Ananya. Important to, at this point, in fact, share with our viewers in terms of what the plea filed by the kids before the court, in fact, goes on to state. In fact, the first plea clearly highlights that the will has been executed, that by Priya Sachdev is in fact forged and fabricated, and that's in fact the prime argument that's being presented over here. Secondly, they are saying that we demand 1/5 share in our father's personal asset, and that also includes Sanjay Kapur's assets in Europe, something that's also been mentioned in the WhatsApp chat. Also, the will emerged 7 weeks after the father's demise, which is unnatural. That is what is being questioned by Karishma Kapoor's 2 children. They're saying that why wasn't the will presented in the first place if it had already been prepared? Then the fourth plea that's been presented over there is that Priya Kapoor has suppressed the will. She said that there was no will left by the father. Henceforth, how did that will then emerge? The fifth plea, the equally important point that's now emerged, is that they've said that their father discussed European assets and a Portuguese citizenship. So remember, if they are able to prove this in the court of law, then this could in fact overturn the entire case in favor of Karishma Kapoor's two children, because that's also indicating that perhaps there was a reconciliation in the offing. The sixth plea that's now come to surface is that Priya Kapoor claimed all assets were in the RK family trust, which is also one trust that she has attributed was taking care of Karishma Kapoor's two children. The seventh plea states that we demand to freeze all personal assets until the entire matter is resolved. The eighth being that they are demanding a thorough investigation into the will's legitimacy. So that has now become the pivot as well. In fact, CNN News 18's Ananya Bhatnagar has been tracking that story since day one. He also spoke with Sunjay Kapur's sister, Mandira Kapoor Smith. Let's also listen in to that conversation.
What is this family feud about? Is it about inheritance?
Firstly, thank you for having me on. It's not about inheritance. That's what it is for the outside world. For us as a family, with what we've been brought up with and how we've grown up and seen this company come to life, literally born in front of us, it's about a legacy, it's about honesty, it's about the truth, and it's about integrity. These are things that this family stands for. So it's not about the inheritance.
You know, your entry into this picture, as far as this family feud is concerned, by many is being viewed with personal motives. How do you respond to all of that?
Absolutely personal motives. My mother is my biggest personal motive. For me to see how my mother is sitting today with everything being stolen from her, this is personal. And, growing up, looking after my mother, all three of us kids were taught to look after my mother. That was something that my father it was inbuilt in us. It is very personal.
You know, your mother, Ms. Rani Kapoor, has sent out a letter. In that letter to the board of directors of Sona Comstar, and also in various interviews that she has given out, she has very categorically mentioned that, she was coerced in signing certain documents by, in fact, the Sona Comstar. And mind you, that these allegations have been rebutted and completely denied by the board of directors of Sona Comstar, very categorically denying any kind of a document being signed. How do you respond to this? How much of truth do these claims actually hold, if you could tell our viewers?
I think Sona Comstar, whoever read the letter, should have read it really well. I think they read it too fast and interpreted what they wanted. It was very clearly written that we need time to understand what has happened within the family. Sona Comstar was not accused. Sona Comstar was only requested to give my mother, who is a founder, time to figure things out. So them responding the way they did was a bit of a shock to us as a family who's the reason Sona's here, the reason they're on the board of Sona Comstar is because of this family. So the disrespect that was given without reading the letter properly, I think, is in bad taste.
Another claim that comes along with this is that these alleged documents that were signed were, in fact, after she was actually locked inside the room. If you could detail down as to what had exactly happened and what were the course of events that led to the signing of these documents, that too after being locked.
I don't know what led to the events. I know that my aunt saw my mother come out behind locked doors once, and I was physically there, banging on the door, not knowing what is going on. And then that's when my mother exited a little time after. So I know the doors were locked. My mother told me the doors were locked. She was in a space of grieving. She didn't know what was going on. She came out, and when I spoke to her after a little time, she said to me, I have signed something. I did what I was told. I don't know what I've signed. And she got very upset. And since then, we've been trying to find out and kept asking, what did my mother sign? We are not getting any answers.
If we go a little further, Ms. Priya Sachdev Kapoor, who's also, in fact, Mr. Sunjay Kapoor's wife, is somebody who's been inducted on the board of directors of Sona Comstar, and that too with a humongous majority of shareholders backing her, coming on the onboarding process. So how do you call this, in fact, Priya Sachdev's coming along on the board as something that is not legitimate? Is there some substance by your opposition to the same?
How is it legitimate if the family didn't know? How is it legitimate when we found out when the rest of the world has? Has anyone sat with the family and said, this is what is happening? Has anyone taken approval of my mother, who everything was willed to? How has this even happened? That's the exact question we're asking. Is we needed time to find out how this all happened. We are unaware. We are finding out things as the world finds out. We're not sitting down as a family should, discussing things. We're being told through the media, through outside channels that, hey, guess what? This is what's next. So how is it legitimate?